Hey guys, welcome back. Gonna make a quick video for you today where we talk about some summertime St. Augustine tips. Right now it's, I think, July 30th, and now through the end of August, it's just very hot. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 90s. We've had very little rain over the past couple of weeks, and it's hard on the turf. This is that time of year where you really just gotta get through it. You gotta get into September, October, where the conditions get a little more favorable for growing and a little more favorable for growth. So we're going to talk about three areas today, which are all around the context of reducing that stress, reducing stress on the lawn and making it easier for the turf to do well and get into that period where the conditions are better. So we're going to talk about mowing practices, we're going to talk about irrigation, and we're going to talk about fertilization. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is good mowing practices. And there's two areas that specifically I want to focus on: mowing height and sharpness of your mower blade. Now, around mowing height, you know from past videos that I like to recommend a range of between 3.5 and 4.5 inches for St. Augustine, depending on a lot of factors, where you are, what the weather conditions are like, your personal preference, etc. But if you're in this time of year and it's very hot and potentially very dry, I would recommend staying in the higher end of that range. Me personally, I like to keep my grass about 4.25 to 4.5 inches. By keeping that grass high, you're keeping more of that grass blade, which is able to capture more of that sunlight. It's able to make more energy for the plant, and it's able to be in a healthier place. The biggest mistake that I see most people make with St. Augustine is they cut that grass too low. And I get it, it looks good, right? It kind of has that golf course look. But for St. Augustine in particular, be careful with that and try to keep it a little bit higher. The second thing that I want to talk to you about is about the sharpness of your mower blade. And I want to show you something specifically that I'm doing very poorly right now, which is not keeping my mower blade sharp. And I want to show you actually two blades of grass right here. And I'm going to put it on my shorts so you can see it a little better. But I just pulled these from the yard right before I started this video. And you can see on these blades of grass that it's white, it's tearing, it looks uneven, it just looks pretty bad. And this happens, right? We are about 3 months into the growing season here. And when I started mowing, mowing regularly back in April, these blades were sharp. The mower blades had just been redone and everything was good. But over time, this is what happens. That blade tends to dull and you start to get tearing in the turf. I want to show you real quick what it should look like, right? This is what I'm telling you what it looks like today because my mower blades are not sharp. I'm going to take a pair of scissors. This is actually what it should look like when your mower blades are sharp, right? And now I'm going to compare these two. This one again, this one that is torn is the one that's out of my yard. This one that is one that I just took a pair of scissors to, and you can see the difference. My point is, guys, if you're seeing grass that looks like this, if you're seeing the tearing, if you're seeing the whiteness, that's a sign that you need to sharpen those mower blades and get back to this, which is what your grass blades should look like, which is where a pair of scissors came across and cut the turf. All right, so good mowing practices, those two things: keeping that grass a little bit higher, making sure your mower blades are sharp. The second area I want to talk about is irrigation, right? And this is really important to the health of your turf. And like I mentioned earlier, it's very hot, it's potentially very dry, these days are very long, and that soil can dry out very quickly. I recommend keeping at least 1 inch of water on your turf per week, maybe up to 1.5 inches, again, depending on where you are and what your conditions are like. If it's raining about once a week, that's a huge help, right? It takes a lot of the pressure off you to keep moisture on the turf. However, if it's not raining, make sure if you've got irrigation, either through sprinklers or a sprinkler that you pull out in the grass, try to make sure that you're putting water on the turf probably a couple of times a week, right? And make sure that you're watering deeply. You don't want to be watering shallow because it just encourages those roots to keep near the surface where they can dry out quickly. If you need to water and you're going to water for a longer period of time. Make sure that water gets deeper into the soil and it encourages those roots to grow deeper, to go after that moisture. Okay, so we've talked about mowing practices, we've talked about irrigation. The last thing that I want to talk about is fertilization. You may be tempted to throw fertilizer down on the yard. I would tell you not to do that, right? If you throw fertilizer on the yard, you're going to encourage the yard to grow, you're going to encourage that lawn to push. And what does that do? It uses up energy. And remember what we talked about at the beginning? We're trying to conserve energy, we're trying to reduce stress. So really try to hold off on the fertilizer, wait till we get out of this period of July and August and we get into the fall season, preferably later September into October. that's a much better time of year to fertilize. It's a much better time of year for that grass to use some energy to recover and to grow. The second thing I would talk about a little bit is pesticides. And this is the time of year where you do need to be watching out for chinch bugs. Watch out for damage on the turf. These are bugs that are very aggressive. They can damage an otherwise healthy St. Augustine lawn very, very quickly. So if you start to see areas of dead St. Augustine grass, if you start to see patches that just look abnormal, take some time, pull the grass back, take a look. If you see chinch bugs, go get something to put down on the turf so you can pretty quickly target these bugs and make sure that you get rid of them before they damage the turf. I hope you found this video really helpful. Look guys, if you liked it, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. That's a huge help. And if you do that, let us know in the comments. We really, really appreciate your support. But otherwise, I hope you have great luck the rest of the summertime, and we'll see you next time.